Welcome to Linoleum Knife.
Yes, welcome. Well, hello.
Well, hello.
Welcome to our home.
Wow, that's a cutting edge bit of humor there.
I keep it fresh.
Totally, for the weekend. Yeah, 5 movies opened this week. So after giving you people 2 shows last week, we're going to cram in 5 movies this week. Across the table for me is Dave White, film critic for Movies.com.
And the noise you're hearing in the background is our neighbor having a get-together with a lot of loud friends.
I thought she was sick.
I think it's a party where she gifts them all with a cold virus.
Like when one kid in the neighborhood would get the mumps and then all the other
Come
ones
on
would
over. It's mumps party.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Enjoy the mumps, neighbors.
You're Alonso Duralde. You are the DVD editor of MovieLine.com. You are the author of Have Yourself a Movie Little Christmas and also 101 Must-See Movies for Gay Men and a contributing writer to many other websites and publications.
Okay, you could have just stopped at Movie Line.
You're a world-class Twitterer. You have many thousands of tweets, plus you have a couple thousand Twitter friends.
I do.
I don't have that many Twitter friends. No. I twit like once a day. Sometimes twice.
If you had an iPhone,
but it's because I don't have a phone.
You would tweet more often.
I mean, I have a phone, but it's a stupid phone. And
it's not a smartphone, right?
I don't have it. Yeah, it's an unsmart phone, and that's the way I like it.
All right. Well.
So this week, I saw the trailer for Medea's Big Happy Family.
Yes.
And I can't wait. Medea has a hammer, and she strikes a child in the head.
And she slaps kids in the face.
Also, she slaps children in the face. Medea loves to attack children in the face
in the name
with
of
her
Jesus.
fists and hammers.
Yes.
I can't wait to see this movie. I love the Medea movies. Okay, I love one of them. I love Medea Goes to Jail. I don't like the others.
That was terrible.
Medea Goes to Jail is a great movie.
No.
Because Rudy Cosby, is that the one with Rudy?
That's the one with
playing
Rudy,
a whore and a crackhead
Rudy
or whatever
Huxtable,
she's got. Yeah. Rudy Huxtable. Yeah, not Rudy Cosby. Rudy Huxtable is in Medea Goes to Jail.
As a
and
crack
she's a crack whore on these streets.
On these streets.
but
she's still new, and the other whores are rooting for her to make it, like Vanessa Ferlito.
And she's going to go back to college.
Yes, because she reads books while she's on these streets. Like she's got like Camus in paperback, while she's standing on a corner.
The Stranger.
Yeah. Oy. Tyler Perry, go away.
So, yeah, I saw the trailer for Medea's Big Happy Family. I'm pretty stoked.
I'm thinking that this movie could actually be fun if it would just be a Medea movie where it's just flat out balls to the wall Medea.
I would like there not to be any learning
and no messages. Just I want if he's going to be just crazy drag queen Medea, fine, go over that. Don't
striking children in the head.
Striking children in the head with a hammer, but but no Jesus. That's he nice to Jesus, but
Jesus is nice.
He deserves better than Tyler Perry as a
Jesus
spokesman.
is real boring in Tyler Perry movies.
Yes,
he is not portrayed to his best advantage.
And now Maya Angelou will come out to talk to you about the importance of family. Ugh. Make it stop.
Speaking of Big Happy Family Medea,
yes,
Uncle Boonmee, who can recall his past lives, opened this week.
We're going to start with that one.
It won the Palme d'Or.
All right, fine.
And I think that
so it gets to go first.
I think that makes for a nice segue. Between Medea,
who has never won the Palme d'Or,
but who's very close to winning the Palme d'Or.
I can feel it.
Here's what I would like. I would like Tyler Perry as Medea to be in the next Apichatpong Weerasathakul movie. I would like to see what that director does with that person.
I wanted there to be an outtake on the Star Trek DVD because Tyler Perry was in it as the head of the Federation or whatever.
Right.
Of Tyler Perry as Medea as Uhura.
That would be awesome.
I thought that would have been great.
Really fantastic.
Captain! I thought that would have been a great pop culture moment, but we were deprived, sadly. Yes, Uncle Boonmee, who can recall his past lives, opened in New York, Los Angeles, and San Francisco this week.
3 whole cities.
3 whole cities.
And
where a good chunk of our listenership probably
do not live.
Well, some of them do. Not all of them.
But here's the great thing about movies like this. They are coming to Netflix and to DVD within about 3 months.
Probably.
I mean, not as fast as a big release movie will come to DVD. Like, this will come to DVD later.
Yeah,
because it'll roll out
Strand
slowly.
knows how to work their ancillary markets, and they never strike a ton of prints.
Right.
So it sort of slowly spreads its way around the country.
But because this won the Palme d'Or, it'll probably wind up playing in sort of mid-market cities, too.
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
I bet cities like Dallas.
And Atlanta.
You know, Austin and places like that, and
Chicago.
Detroit, Chicago, you know, Seattle.
Yeah.
I bet those cities
Boston.
get it. Albuquerque, maybe even.
Yeah,
you know.
probably. But yeah,
It sounds like a rock and roll song about all the cities that keep rocking in the USA. All the
like the
all the places
American
where
Beat
Uncle,
by the Flush Tones.
Uncle Boonmee is gonna jam. Tell people what Uncle Boonmee, who can recall his past lives, is about.
Okay, well, Uncle Boonmee is
Because
dying.
it's about something.
It's sort of, yeah. Uncle Boonmee is dying of kidney failure out on his plantation way out in the country. And his sister comes to visit. And
sister or cousin? I thought it was his cousin.
Or sister-in-law, I thought.
It doesn't
maybe.
actually
Anyway,
matter.
some female relative of Uncle Boonmee's comes by to visit. And they are visited by the ghost of Uncle Boonmee's dead wife. They are visited by Uncle Boonmee's dead son, who is
not dead, just sort of disappeared.
Well, sorry.
He disappeared one day and he has been gone forever.
Uncle Boonmee's
Long-lost son.
who it turns out is now a ghost
monkey in
with
his
big
absence.
red flashing eyes.
Yes, in his absence, the son mated with a ghost monkey.
And became one.
And now he has red laser eyes.
So wait, if he's
and he looks like a giant 6-foot gorilla.
Yeah, so he's like Sasquatch with red eye. Actually, he looks sort of like the. Well, anyway, it's about a movie that hadn't come out yet.
We're actually getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Because the film opens with Uncle Boonmee in one of his past lives as an ox.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Yes, and Uncle Boonmee, per the title, can recall his past lives.
Right.
And so we see various among them where he's an ox, where he is a ghost and a catfish and a princess or something.
Yes.
And
well, here's the thing. I was talking to Loretta, our friend Loretta Ramos, about this. And she, was like, well, was he the catfish? And then who was the princess? And I said, well, isn't it possible that his recollections are sort of fusing and he was the catfish
in one life
and he was the princess
in another one?
Yeah. And so his acceptance of his death is what happens when the fish has sex with the lady.
Which is
what happens. The lady's real sad too, and she's very happy to have sex with the catfish because she's unhappy because she's got a weird face. She has a scarred up, mottled face that doesn't look. It looks all lumpy. Her face, and she's like, "I've been deprived of beauty." And he's like, "But you're a princess." And she's like, "You're a ghost." He's like, "No, I'm not a ghost. I'm a catfish."
No, that's right.
And then they do it.
Yes. Now, Dave is a big fan of the other films of
Big fan is an
Apichatpong
understatement.
Weerasathakul.
This is my favorite director, along with Claire Denis. They are and he are my two favorite living directors.
Okay. So, I, however, am less in the bag.
You're wrong.
I saw Syndromes in a Century, and I didn't get it. And
That's because you're wrong.
And I'm willing to say that it's not that it was a bad movie. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. This one,
How many times did you watch Syndromes?
Once.
That's one of your problems.
It bore the snot out of me.
You need to watch it like 2
again.
or 3 times.
Yeah, that's not happening.
I did.
Yes, well, you're in the bag.
I loved it every time.
Uncle Boonmee, I liked more than I didn't. I'd say I liked it about... No, in fact, no. I liked it. I'd say I got it more than I didn't. It felt like it had sort of a narrative, as long as you could get with the whole ghost, catfish, ox thing.
I don't think getting it is always so important, but keep talking.
But I will say this: I didn't love it as much as I loved a film that we talked about afterwards. That it kind of reminded me of in terms of its tone and its the style of storytelling, which was Tran On Hung's The Scent of Green Papaya. Which is also a film where there's like long stretches where not a lot seems to be happening, and it's all about sort of silences or very specific small actions being lingered on by the camera, that sort of thing.
But that movie is more about like a tranquility, and this one has a very sort of like hypnotic, dreamy ghost-like quality.
Yeah, I mean, by the end of it, definitely, because you got the whole thing. Well, I don't want to give away the ending.
There is no such thing as a spoiler, really.
But
you can tell the listeners every single thing that happens.
It gets into areas at the end that sort of that kind of touch upon either their astral projection or their dreams or their
right.
This
is such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful movie, and I would hate for people to go to it carrying ideas they have about watching mainstream narrative film.
Yeah, put that aside.
Because
this is a capital A art film.
Yeah. I don't say that I fight with people about this all the time, but I know that when I review a movie like this for movies.com and I review it positively, I get a lot of negative comments from people who will...
You gave this 5 stars, I guess.
You gave this 5 stars. What kind of an idiot are you? And I think I wish people would not constantly, and it's hard to not do this, but I wish people would not always approach a movie the way they would approach like a television show or a book, expecting a beginning, and a middle, and an end. I think that in some real ways that film, here comes a helicopter because we live in Los Angeles.
Just like Grand Canyon.
It's just like Boys in the Hood. There's always the helicopter flying over our apartment. I wish people could approach movies sometimes the way they approach, a painting, because there's no beginning and middle and end to a painting. Yeah. But there's often a narrative in a painting, and it's up to you to figure that out. Yeah. And even figuring it out is not always essential. I just wish that when you say to someone, "Hey, try this movie with this unusual way of telling a story," and then they come back to you and they're like, "I hate you. How dare you tell me to watch that? You've ruined my life."
Well, and I'm like, I would not send people to Syndromes in a Century. I would send them to Uncle Boonmee. I would say...
I would send them to this. I would send them to Syndromes in a Century.
Give it a shot. I know. Tropical Malady. Yes, you love all of them. We know. But yeah, I would say, go into the theater, kind of just like put yourself in a mental space of just being accepting of what's coming. Don't think about it in the traditional way. You're right. You're saying of a sort of 3-act structure, narrative kind of thing. Just kind of, if you go with it,
is more like half a dozen parts.
Yeah, kind of splashed together.
Yeah.
But I'd say if you go with it, if you allow yourself to go with it, you might be surprised. It might enchant you.
It's perfect. I don't think I will see a movie that I like more than this for the whole rest of the year.
All right.
I mean, I'm cheating a little bit because I saw it last year.
Right.
I saw it in November. Like the minute they started having press screenings, like for long lead press for people who have like deadlines that are months in advance. Like the minute I heard about those, I was like, I'm coming. And I told the publicist, and they're like, well, reviews aren't happening. And I was like, I don't care. I'll go see it again later when it's time to review it. I have to see it now. Because when I heard that it won the Palme d'Or, I was like, oh, good, my favorite director won the Palme d'Or.
And it was a controversial choice, apparently.
Was it?
Yeah.
Why? Who was upset about
Well, I mean, because I think, I just heard about this secondhand, but somebody was telling me that basically, like, at the festival, there was sort of like, there were people that were thrilled the way you were, and there were people like, what the hell is this? So.
Well, those people are stupid.
Anyway. But, so Uncle Boonmee. So, okay, so now we've covered this. Let's move on to movies that are actually opening in a theater near you, or that opened this week, because there's a lot this week.
Medea's Big Happy Family is coming.
Not yet. Not yet. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Let's talk about Take Me Home Tonight.
This movie can eat a bag of dicks with a side of balls. And I know I started early on in this podcast by saying we're not going to say bad swears, but this movie makes me want to swear.
Yeah,
it eats a bag of dicks.
It is wretched
with a side of balls.
Okay, just
tell people what this stupid piece of shit movie is about.
Whoa, you are swearing this week.
I'm swearing.
Okay,
totally. This part I'm going to swear.
It is
this movie.
It is a movie made about the '80s by people who clearly were not born yet, or don't remember the decade at all,
or don't care,
or don't care.
I think that's what it is. They just don't care if there was an '80s that human beings can actually remember happening.
Yeah. I mean, this movie is set on Labor Day 1988 among a bunch of college graduates. Now, I graduated from college in 1988, so like I know.
Basically, you and I were the same age, roughly,
as the characters
in the film at that moment.
Yeah, and you know what? I was the same age as the characters in Freaks and Geeks, and they got all that stuff right.
Yeah,
this movie all wrong.
And well, okay, let's talk about the anachronisms first.
You asked what it's about, so I'll tell you real quick. Topher Grace plays an MIT grad who just can't decide what to do with his life, and his twin.
This, by the way, is his major problem in the film.
Boo-hoo.
Oh, golly. I've just graduated from MIT. Whatever will I do with my degree?
I just can't decide.
Fancy school. And it's like a major existential dilemma for him. So he takes the summer off to work in a video store, and the whole world is ganging up on his ass to go off and be something. He's like, you know what? I just went to MIT for 4 years and my brain is tired, and I just want to work at the video store for a summer. Let me do that.
I know it's a dopey premise to begin with, and then his twin sister is played by Anna Faris, who deserves better than this, and she is torn between the possibility of going to grad school to further her brilliant writing career or marrying a preppy lummox played by Chris Pratt, her real-life boyfriend.
Husband.
Oh, husband. Okay.
They're married.
Oh, okay.
They may have actually met on this film because this movie
was made
shot
4 years ago.
Yeah.
So on Labor Day weekend, the Pratt character throws this big blowout, which you see in every 80s movie. And Topher Grace's high school crush, who he never had the cojones to talk to, is there. So he makes up this whole cock and bull story about how he works for Goldman Sachs, and they have this magical evening together, and blah, 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 blah.
He lies to her to get into her pants.
It's stupid. It's frustrating, this movie, because, okay, for one thing,
I kind of wanted to like it.
Yeah, I'm believe me, I can be had with like a few hits of the 80s.
I'm also a fan of that Eddie Money song.
I can't get out of my head. I'm looking for this movie to go away so I can stop thinking about that stupid song. Take me home tonight.
Sing it better.
I'm sounding like Cher. I know. No, I'm not. Anyway, so it's. For one thing, under the closing credit or the opening credits, we find out that these characters all attended Shermer High School. Like, oh no, you didn't.
Yeah, you've already crossed the line. If that's your opening shot, and you're actually you're daring
to step up.
You are daring the audience not to hate you.
Yeah.
For doing that. Now, explain Shermer.
Shermer is the fictional town in Illinois where all the John Hughes movies were set. 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Weird Science, Pretty in Pink, all the classics were set at Shermer High School in Shermer, Illinois. So these guys are taking on a mantle that they cannot begin to fit into by calling up the ghost of John Hughes before the movies even started. It's just not ever funny.
Right.
And then let's talk about the anachronism.
Hang on. Okay. Not only is it not funny, with the occasional exception of Dan Fogler, and every time Dimitri Martin is on screen.
Right, which is twice.
Which is 2 or 3 times as the guy in the wheelchair, right, who's kind of angry about it. Other than that, it is laugh-less, pointless, because it's about a non-problem. It's about a non-issue. It is also one of those movies where a simple conversation, a simple innocent conversation would unravel
the entire plot.
And make it not such a big deal that this guy.
Yeah, it just occurred to me.
By the way, in the first 5 minutes of the movie, he could have said to her, "Oh, I graduated from MIT. I just decided to take the summer off, and now I'm going to head off."
Like that wouldn't be impressive enough.
Do something brilliant. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh God, I have to hide the fact that I
went to MIT, and I'm going to say that I work for Goldman Sachs.
Right.
Was he trying? Were they trying to make him like the Eric Stoltz character in Some Kind of Wonderful? Maybe.
Honestly, I think so. Like this sort of cute, nerdy.
What am I going to do?
Guy. What am I going to do with my life? Guy. Yeah. So in addition to all these major problems that would make it a bad movie in the first place, it is pointlessly set in the 80s. There is actually no good reason, nothing related to the plot that requires this film
specific,
to be 80s specific. And so you get the feeling that they just were like, wouldn't it be funny if everybody were wearing day-glow things and parachute pants? And so that's what they do.
And we danced to Everybody Wang Chung tonight.
It's 1988, set in 1988 on one crazy night. And every ridiculous bit of slang, music, fashion, that existed from 1980 to 1990 somehow magically makes itself visible or heard in the course of this one evening. So you've got like people who are dressed like it's 1988, or you've got people who are dressed like it's 1981 in this like skinny tie,
new wave.
It's the birth of new wave sort of, thing.
College graduates did, at no party, I feel comfortable saying this, at no party in the United States in 1988 did college graduates dance to Safety Dance.
Because that song was 6 years old.
Because that song was old, no, it was 5 years old. And it was an embarrassment by that point. Like the irony clock was not as fast then as it is now.
Right.
People were still pretending like they'd never liked that song. It wasn't until later that they would maybe sort of ironically embrace it.
So like, oh yeah, I kind of did like that.
Yeah. Oh, also, there's a Rain Man reference to the movie, and that film didn't open until months later in 1988. So they're time traveling in both directions in this film.
It's kind of like in Glitter when she records.
she covers. I Didn't Mean to Turn You On, which was like from a year later, and then she samples that
Cameo's
Candy, which was like 4 years
later. Yeah. So it's like it's somebody. I have a feeling, and I said this to a radio guy earlier in the week, that I'm sure the production designer people and the music supervisor people and the costumers are all like, okay, it's 1988, let's do our homework, and how did this work? And I guarantee you that the producers, and wasn't Topher Grace one of them?
He was, and he actually said in an interview, like, I knew when the hot girl entered the party, I wanted to have Betty Davis Eyes playing. Again, not a song you would hear in 1988.
It doesn't, but that song is sort of happening in his mind.
Maybe,
maybe. Okay. So that's an effective music cue. But the point is that I guarantee you that all the people who behind the scenes did their homework got themselves pecked to death.
Yeah.
With hey, let's make it more 80s.
Can't we throw in some parachute pants?
Yeah. And so like that, I guarantee you,
probably, yeah. Because it's not like we're talking ancient Rome here. I mean,
you can get away with doing period if it's 100 years ago and playing a little fast and loose. But you set up your movie 23 years in the past, and you expect people just to not think about what, and they do expect that. They expect a bunch of 18
the teenagers that see the movie won't
to go
care,
see it. They'll be like, oh, we don't know. We weren't even born then, so it doesn't matter. And obviously, we're showing our age as super old men by complaining about this. But there's nothing more annoying and distracting than movies that are lazy about their own period moments.
Like a movie that totally got it right recently was Adventureland. Exactly. Yes. You know, there was like the one girl dressed as Madonna,
right.
And there was it got like all the small stuff right. The music seemed germane to the characters and like what they would actually have been listening to at that time.
Everybody in 1988 looked like they were on the Here, let me start that sentence over again in English. Everybody in 1988 looked like they were on an episode of Dance Party USA.
For real or in this movie?
For real life.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unless you were part of that.
The El DeBarge episode of Facts of Life.
Yes. Everyone had on acid-wash jeans and terrible, stupid studio.
Yeah, moosed out hair and the giant shoulder pads.
And that, unless you were on the culture track that was running on a parallel, track, and you really were like the people in Pretty in Pink or in Suburbia or Decline of Western Civilization Part 1 or Part 2. Unless you were somewhere else.
Not even that extreme. I mean, if you were the kind of person, if you were listening to REM and the Smiths,
right, then you weren't looking like that. But mainstream folks,
that's what they look like.
That's what they look like.
You're right.
And so, this movie wants to have it all the ways that it wants to have it, but it's too stupid to be forgiven for that.
Yeah, exactly. Like you would gloss over it if it had anything else in its quiver, but it doesn't. Like there's no, if it were funny or the story was interesting or you cared about the characters, the other stuff you could sort of sweep under the rug. But no, there's nothing going
Furthermore, we were forced to go to the premiere.
Downtown.
They didn't even have press screenings. We had to go to the premiere. It was downtown Los Angeles.
Anyway,
if you live in Los Angeles, you know what an F over downtown is.
Yeah, plus it was
one-way
raining
streets,
on top of
it's
everything
pouring
else.
rain.
And let me explain real quick to people that don't live in LA or that don't do what we do for a living. Because
Going to the premiere sucks it.
Exactly. People are like, "Ooh, wow, a movie premiere."
No.
I know somehow like this is a prize in a contest where I think second prize should be 2 movie
It
premieres.
is sometimes a prize in a contest.
Yeah, I know. People like get really excited about it. Trust me, from the inside, it's awful because you're surrounded by all these like terrible like industry people that work for the studio, and they're all like chatting real loud to each other, like they're the popular kids at the dance. You know, they're so
I
excited.
don't know who said this to me. It was either on Facebook or Twitter, but they said it's an ego party that starts 45 minutes late.
They never start on time. They're unbearable. So yeah, premieres suck it.
Oh, it was Peter DeBruge.
Oh, okay.
Told me to send that
and
to me.
so we love him. And so
shout that out to
yeah, going to premieres is a nightmare, and so it made what was already an awful movie going experience even more painful. So the whole night was just
We also had to sit on the second row of the theater, and this is a theater with a gigantic
curved screen,
gigantic curved screen that is 5 feet away from the first row. So your neck is, you're like a bird, little baby bird wanting to be fed for 2 hours.
I could see all of Anna Faris's pores. It was not fun.
I'm never going to a premiere again.
No.
I don't actually care. If they ever tell us again, your only opportunity to see and review this film is to go see it at the premiere, I'm just going to be like, you know what? I'm going to go to the Grove on Friday morning at 10 a.m. and get my pretzel and my Red High C drink, and that's how I'm going to see your stupid movie.
And speaking of the Grove on a Friday morning, we went to see
Beastly.
Why don't you tell them what it's about, Dave?
Beauty and the Beast. I'm sorry. Beauty and the stupid head beast.
Gossip Girl and the Beast.
Gossip Girl and the Beast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't say enough horrible things about this movie.
I want a break from Alex Pettyfer. I've had too much Pettyfer for the last month.
I don't blame him.
This and I Am Never For. Well,
he's an actor, and it's not his fault.
But he ain't good.
He just took the role.
Good.
But you don't know that. You don't know if he's a good actor or not.
Based on what I've seen so far, he's not good. He may yet knock it out of the park.
He may do something else.
Who knows? But so far, he's not thrilling me. And Vanessa Hudgens, you know, I liked her in Band Slam.
Bless her cute little self.
Bless her cute self. I liked her in Band Slam. I even like her in the stupid High School Musical movies.
Isn't she going to be in Sucker Punch too? Am I wrong about
everybody's
that?
in Sucker Punch.
Am
I
wrong about that?
She might
be.
But it's, again, okay, so this is the thing that kills me about this movie. The whole film is about, like, you know, looksism and vanity and da-da-da-da-da. So who do they cast as the two sort of outsider nerdy girls in this movie? Vanessa Hudgens and an Olsen twin. Right. Way to mix your messages there, kids. And the Olsen twin's the best thing in the movie, incidentally.
Yeah, Mary Kate plays the witch, and she's actually really great.
Yeah.
Like, she's the one reason that you would want to watch it on cable someday. Just fast forward.
When she comes sweeping in her gothy Stevie Nicks ensembles.
Parts, yeah. She wears this sort of like haute couture, sort of like goth gear that I know she brought to the set herself.
Probably,
like those are her clothes.
Yeah,
you know, because she's such a fashion lady now with her own line of whatever that she
My
designs.
imitation of Christ's spiderweb poncho.
Yeah, exactly. Like, she looks fantastic. She's the only person that's having a good time in the whole movie.
Yeah,
and she gets to be, you know, the villainess, right. and.
Who's also the voice of, like, moral whatever, you know.
Gray Drake from Movies.com was with us Friday morning, and every time Mary Kate was on, we would both kind of, like, slap our knees, like, oh, good, she's back. Like we were hoping that the movie would just turn into her. Like, the whole thing would be about Mary Kate Olsen.
Oh, sadly, no. No.
It's, the other thing I love about this film, and by love I mean hate, is that they take the beasts, you know, his main crime in all other retellings, in all other versions of this story, his crime is cruelty and selfishness.
Right.
But because teenagers are already
by nature
cruel and selfish,
they had to kick it up a
they'd
notch.
be like, well, so what, he's cruel and selfish. That's, I mean,
duh.
Why doesn't everybody get off his back? You know, like, he has to be something worse, which is snooty and stuck up and vain
and preening, you know, whatever.
And it's just it's the kind of movie that is really funny. because it's so rotten.
And also, like, the when they make him ugly, you know, basically what happens is he has a shaved head, he's got weird scars, and he's got all these tattoos on his skull and stuff. And I'm thinking,
you should just go join the Jim Rose traveling circus show or whatever.
You live in New York City. There is a subculture that is going to find you hot with that look.
They should have made him fat.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then
he takes his shirt off and he's still got the rippling abs. They're like, no. This movie really wants to make a point. Make
made
him
like
fat.
Ryan Reynolds in Just Friends. They should have put him. They should have put him in a giant fat suit and made him like a crazy dork.
That would have been like, yes, exactly. Give him like, you know, like you know, acne and weird teeth that couldn't be fixed, and you know, like a cowlick that wouldn't go down. You know. That would have been, and whatever clothes he put on would become ill-fitting and ugly and like, you know, half polyester.
But he's this brooding guy on a motorcycle, and he's got this like rockin' bod that just happens to have tattoos all over it,
scars, la-di-da.
So that movie's poop,
totally.
And what's next?
The Adjustment Bureau.
I don't care.
I had a good time. I had a good time. It's ridiculous.
It's
thoroughly ridiculous.
Talk about it, because I don't really have a lot to say.
It's based on a Philip.
It's enjoyable.
It's based on a Philip K. Dick story, and Matt Damon plays.
And they ruin it.
I never read it, so have you?
Well, they ruin all Philip K. Dick stories.
We can pretty much guess. Yeah,
they take them and they take all the
they strip it for parts.
All the nightmarish, paranoid qualities and unhappy endings and ambiguous, outcomes, and they fix it.
Somebody asked me, is he like
Philip K. Dick.
Is he the most?
They make it dickless.
Is he is he the most adapted sci-fi writer by Hollywood?
Possibly,
it seems because there's so many of them. Anyway, Matt Damon plays a politician who meets Emily Blunt one night when he's about to give his concession speech after losing an election, and he immediately falls in love with her. But then they lose track of each other. And then 3 years later, he bumps into her on the bus, and we find out that there are these shadowy people who were supposed to keep them from meeting.
Magic hats.
With magic hats. And because that meeting was not prevented, it sets off this whole weird chain of stuff where they keep trying to convince him that he's not supposed to be with her, and they're not supposed to know each other. And you find out that the guys in the hats are these sort of shadowy figures who are these sort of like heavenly busybody bureaucrats
angels
who arrange everything and how
for God
everyone's destiny, and they keep it vague, like they refer to the chairman,
Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, exactly. Which the hats reminded me of. Yeah, I mean, the story itself is ridiculous. I mean, it's kind of a cool premise, and I'd say, like, it's a great, I've been telling people it's a great love story for the paranoid and for Calvinists. But I mean, like, they keep throwing in new angles to the story just for sheer convenience
every 5
sake.
minutes.
Like, oh, by the way, if you turn this doorknob left, just random
when
out
it starts
of nowhere
raining,
stuff.
our magic hats are no longer
effective. The water makes it trickier. It's ridiculous. But
it is as though an adjustment bureau is adjusting the film,
the movie, while you're watching
every
it.
5 minutes to shift the tone to be like, I want it to be a comedy now. No, I want it to be a paranoid thriller. No, I want it to be a romance with googly eyes.
The romance is what worked for me. I thought that Matt Damon and Emily Blunt.
That was the boringest part of it.
See, no,
she's funny. Like, she makes him funny. Like, their little banter between each other is funny. But
I believed them as because love at first sight is hard to convey in a movie without looking ridiculous, and I believed it with them, and I believed their relationship. I believe they could go years without seeing each other, and then just immediately, when they see each other again. So that part worked for me, and that kind of carried me through the rest of all the silly plot stuff. So it's not a particularly good movie, but
it's not a good movie at all.
But I enjoyed myself watching it.
You will enjoy yourself if you realize that it's not a good movie at all.
If you go in knowing it's going to be ridiculous and you're just sort of there to enjoy the star quality, it will deliver that. Yeah.
But
Never.
It's only, and people are comparing it to Inception, and it's not.
No,
it's not. It's like there are people wear nice outfits.
If you took the plot of Inception and had to fit it onto one note card, you would wind up with the Adjustment Bureau.
Right.
Like, it's the super dumbed down version.
Right.
Yeah. So that leaves us with
Rango.
which everyone loves.
Me.
Except me.
You're wrong.
I just didn't. It didn't. I don't know. I didn't
defend yourself.
Okay.
First, tell them what it's about.
It's about
then defend yourself.
Johnny Depp.
I'll sit here in silence.
Johnny Depp is a pet lizard who falls out of the car of his owners and finds himself in the Mojave Desert, where he sort of goes on a spirit quest, but also winds up in this small town where the water is drying up, and he lies and says that he's this like badass lawman, and they make him the sheriff, and then he actually has to become the hero that he has pretended to be. Blah 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 blah. For me, the problem was I didn't find it. I didn't think it was nearly as clever as it thought it was.
It was clever.
I think that it's very kind of cobbled together from other other movies and sort of very following genre conventions in a way that wasn't particularly surprising. And then it also has this weird thing where on the one hand, it's there's a lot of not kid-friendly stuff in it. Like there is sexual innuendo dialogue. There's a very scary rattlesnake,
terrifying,
voiced by Bill Nye in it. But it also does the kind of like sort of dopey story / plot things that you would forgive in a kids movie, but if you're not making a kids movie, you aren't allowed to do. You know what I mean? So that was my problem with it. I was not charmed by it.
You're wrong. It was a really amazingly detailed and just gorgeously animated movie.
It looked good. It was well put together.
That played with all these conventions of classic westerns and spaghetti westerns and like that sort of pessimistic 70s kind of vibe of Chinatown. They even reference Chinatown because there's a corrupt mayor who controls the water.
It's all about the water
and
supply.
Like a conspiracy behind it. And
of course, and the mayor is voiced by
in Las Vegas.
Yeah, the mayor is voiced by Ned Beatty, and I'm like, really? Right after Toy Story 3?
There's this weird
again with the Ned Beatty.
There's this weird hippie desert stoner kind of Carlos Castaneda thing going on
a vision quest,
and
which culminates in a scene that really didn't work for me at all.
Is this great
involving
scene.
The spirit of the West?
Yes, and it's fantastic. And he says the funniest line.
Yeah, but
in the movie, not just in the movie, but it's my favorite line of dialogue that I've heard since the beginning of the year, and I'll be surprised if anything tops it.
It's a funny line, but the scene didn't work for me. The character didn't work for me. I'm sorry, I didn't.
It is a weird movie. It is not for children.
No,
at all. If you're a 9 or 10-year-old, let's say you're in 4th or 5th grade, fine. Yeah, anything above that. But little kids, if you're a parent, do not take your child,
like your 6 or 7 year old
little kid, to see this movie because it's kind of not for them at all. It's a grown-up animated film, and I don't want it to be. Well, I talked to a publicist and I was like, "Who y'all marketing this movie to?" Because the TV trailers say the best family film of the year, and I'm like, it's not a family film
because Gore Verbinski, who directed it, the guy who made the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, is like, "Oh, this isn't a movie for kids," but it's being released under Paramount's Nicktoons banner, like it's under the Nickelodeon aegis. So, they are marketing it as a kids movie, and it's not a kids movie. And I'm all for animated films that aren't aimed at children.
There's an animated movie for adults, and it's great.
But I think that it doesn't quite commit either way. Like I said, there's stuff to it where, like, if you're going to have the adult content, there also needs to be adult storytelling. And I think that they tend to take the easy, kids movie way out in a lot of ways. So I'm sorry. I know everybody loves this movie. I am not one of them.
I am.
So there we go. So we're running a little long this week because we had a lot of movies to cover, but we thank you for bearing with us. Quick shout out real quick to our other podcast pals out there. Gray Drake, Dave's partner at Movies.com.
This is my second podcast of the weekend.
Yes, she hosts the Popcorn Mafia, and Dave was her guest this week to talk to 2 of the 3 segments of the Human Centipede.
The leader and the caboose.
And the butt.
The middle girl. What's great about her name is Ashlyn Yenny, and she
the caboose
on her Twitter page. She says she just in her bio it says best known as the ass of the Human Centipede.
So anyway,
she's really funny. And
So if you want to hear what the Centipede
Akihiro, who
folks
was
have to say.
the guy at the beginning, at the front of the Centipede, he was really funny, and they were great guests. It was really exciting to be able to like sit down and talk to them.
If you want to hear more from them, if you want to hear
Popcorn Mafia,
more of Dave White, Popcorn Mafia
should be up probably by Monday at the latest.
And then let's see, also Blowhard with Malcolm Ingram, and of course the Comedy Couch with Dennis Hensley and Tony Tripoli. All very entertaining shows. Go check them out. You can reach us at our email address, linoleumpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter. We are at linoleumcast.
Do you have a way for people to find you on Facebook anywhere? Related to this
we don't have
show?
a page on Facebook yet, but you can always...
No, you personally.
I'm the only Alonso Duralde on Facebook.
In the world.
ALONSODURALDE. Feel free to friend me on Facebook.
If you go to movies.com and you go to my page, you see my bio.
Right.
You can link to my Facebook page.
Yeah, I don't have that.
And to my Twitter page.
I don't have that. But
where I say all kinds of fascinating things all the time.
So friend Dave too.
Often just about what I'm eating.
Yes.
Which is a lot.
No comment. All right, so that is Linoleum Knife for this week. Thanks for joining us. And we are not doing a show next week because
you're going to South by Southwest.
We'll be in Austin for South by Southwest. And then the week after
I'm going to be lying on the couch watching Extreme Couponing.
Great. But then the week after that, you're in Dallas. Are we going to do a show then? Do you want me to hold the phone up? How are we going to do that?
I don't know. We can figure it out.
Okay.
We might do one midweek when you come home right before I go away.
That's a short overlap, maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
Or we'll learn how to Skype. Who knows? Something.
I'm not going to learn anything new.
No, I'm not going to make you do anything. Relax.
I refuse to learn any new things.
We know this about you, Dave White. All right. Thank you for joining us, and we will catch you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.